This isn't a cop show. This isn't a political show. This is a reality show. Street experience, law enforcement service, military leadership. This is Real Talk with Mohawk. Welcome to this episode of Real Talk with Mohawk. Today we're discussing the Kentucky State University shooting involving a father, Jacob Bard, and two students. Today I will discuss why this was more than likely preventable. And of course, I'll be providing my insight as a 27-year law enforcement veteran familiar with college campus safety issues. On December 9th, 2025, there was a shooting at Kentucky State University in Frankfort, Kentucky. A father by the name of Jacob Bard had two students who attended the university. There had been several incidents involving his children, and his children no longer felt safe. So the children asked him to come move them from the campus. So the father was armed. He went to the school. He met with the school officials. He met with the school police, explained what was going on, and asked for an escort to move his children out of the dorm, or at least one of his sons. There have been some rumors that he went there just as some type of vigilante justice, or he went there with the intent of trying to hurt somebody or shoot somebody. I don't believe, in my opinion, that that's the case. If that was the case, he wouldn't have stopped by and spoke with the police and spoke with the school officials. If he wanted to go there to hurt somebody, that would be counterproductive for what he was trying to do. So I think he really went with the intent to get his kids, and he wanted to go as smooth as possible. But he did arm himself, obviously, just in case something like this happened, and it did. He would be able to defend himself and his kids. So while they're en route to get the boys moved out, a group of students come out and begin fighting with them. Now, the university police officer was attempting to break up the fight, but there were so many, he couldn't control the scene. He was outnumbered. He couldn't control it. And the father, Mr. Bard, took his weapon out and shot two students that were involved in this big melee they had going on. Unfortunately, one of those young men, a 19-year-old named Dejon Fox Jr., died. And that's unfortunate. You'll see all the time on this show, I talk about any loss of life is tragic. Any loss of life is tragic. I don't care who it is. I hate to see people lose their life, especially when it can be prevented. And in this incident, this case, I believe it could have been prevented. And I'm going to talk about that in just a little bit. Now, after the shooting, the father was taken into custody by authorities. But let's get to where or how we got to December 9th and how we got to that shooting incident. So this goes back a few months. So let's go back to early October of 2025. A group of students activated a fire alarm. They used fire extinguishers to disable the security cameras. They broke into Mr. Bard's son's room. They stole some of his property out of the room. So the son reported that to the police. Well, immediately following reporting it to the police, he began getting threats. So he reported the threats to the police. So that was the first part. Right then, something should have been done. But because of what I'm going to talk about later, and I'll explain this, just stay with me because I want you to get this. I need you to get this. But I got to give you the background on this. But this should have been handled right then. That's a felony, first of all, to go into that room. That's a burglary. They went into that room with the intent to commit a crime. That's a burglary. That's a felony. Some students should have been arrested behind that, but they were not. And since this boy reported it, now he's starting to get death threats, and still nobody did anything about it. Okay. Then let's move to December the 6th. December the 6th, a large group entered the same dorm room. So they went back into his room and destroyed a lot of his belongings. They said worth hundreds of dollars. So here we go again, right? The young man's trying to do the right thing. He reported the first incident, and now here we go in December. They done went into his room again, and now they done destroyed his property. All right. Now let's go 2 more days. Let's go to December the 8th. December the 8th, a group reportedly of 20 to 30 individuals surrounded his dorm room. Allegedly, they had weapons. They said some had bats. Again,
It was reported to the school police. And again, nothing was done. So you've had all these incidents before December the 9th that something should have been done. But this politics that I always talk about, this accountability that doesn't take place because elected officials or these people that's got these great jobs at these schools, they are playing with folks' safety. 27 years in law enforcement, I have seen this my entire career, how this stuff happens. And people die behind it. But nobody wants to talk about it. And as a police officer, you can't talk about it because if you talk about it, you get in trouble. And it is a shame. So here we go, December the 9th. So all those opportunities that they had to take care of that, nothing was done. You know what they did? They handled it as administrative issues, as behavioral issues. Those are not behavioral issues. Those are criminal acts. And those responsible should have been arrested. And had they been arrested, this young man who is now deceased, he would probably still be alive. His family wouldn't have to be dealing with this. Mr. Bard wouldn't have to go through it. His kids wouldn't have had to go through it. This young man's father and mother and family who was killed, they wouldn't be going through this. This is terrible. All right, so there's a thing known as the Clery Act. Now we're going to get into the meats and potatoes of what this is about. So this is about the shooting, but I want to show you how the system failed. The system failed, and it does it all the time. The system fails people all the time. So there's an act called the Clery Act. The Clery Act basically says that anytime there is an arrest on a college or learning institution campus, that arrest must be reported to the federal government. Well, when you do that, that starts interfering with the money of the college because there's safety reports that are put out on each university. The more arrests that you have, the more dangerous the campus looks. So guess what? Instead of them making an arrest, they tell people, oh, you're going to have to be in the dorm now by 6 o'clock, as if that's going to help solve something. They want to handle everything as an incident, because if they don't make an arrest, it's classified as an incident or a student conduct issue. It's not considered a crime. So it doesn't have to be reported. So it doesn't interfere with the money. So all these people that's making all this good money at these universities, they keep making their good money because the enrollment is up. But the Clery Act, the colleges must report the crimes that occur on or near the campus. That's why they don't make the arrest. Now, those stats. So if they make the arrest, they have to report it, right? All right. So what does that affect? Right? So if I'm making the allegation, or I'm saying that they're not doing it because it's going to interfere with the money, let's look at what it affects. One, their accreditation. Their accreditation is affected by the crimes that are reported. Well, the crimes that are reported are the ones that an arrest is made. So don't make the arrest. It doesn't count as a crime. It doesn't hurt your accreditation. That's one. What about parents who are looking to put their children in school? Well, if they pull up the safety reports and they see that there have been this many arrests, it makes it look as if the campus is violent. When I would actually argue that it's probably just the opposite. If they are making arrests, that probably means it's actually safer and they're actually addressing things the way they need to be addressed. Donors. If the donors don't want to give money to a university or a college that's got a reputation for having a lot of arrests because, again, the optics is that it's unsafe. Again, it looks unsafe, but it's probably safer because the crimes are happening anyway. They're just being handled differently. And of course, if you have students that are already attending the school, you're a parent, you have your kids are attending the school and you hear about an arrest, you may consider taking your kids out because you think that it's too violent for them to be going there. Again, that is not the case. It's the unreported stuff that you need to be worried about. That's what's causing the issue, as it did in this case. So, what's going on? What's going on? You have these people, right? And I've seen it firsthand. Let me tell you, I've seen this firsthand because I worked at a jurisdiction that had a community college in the jurisdiction. I could never understand why the campus police never make arrests. In 20 years, I bet that campus police department has not made 20 arrests. I bet they don't average an arrest a year. I bet you they don't. And I know for a fact, I could go on that campus. It smells like dope on that campus. I can tell you that I've been in them campus rooms. They're filthy. I can tell you there's been all types of crimes and fights and guns on the campus. And they don't even arrest the people with the guns. They just put them out of school. Again, it's handled as an administrative issue. No, those individuals who are committing those crimes need to be arrested. But they're not. They're not being arrested because the campus or the college or the university, they want to keep the money flowing. So what's that mean? They are playing with our kids. They are playing with our kids' lives by not doing the job because they want to keep the money rolling. And that's what I keep saying, accountability, accountability, accountability. I'm tired of it. People are tired of it. People are tired of the kids and the family members being taken away from them needlessly because those who are in positions to handle things will only handle things in a manner that's going to help them in the long run. So thank you for joining me, and I look forward to speaking with you again.
If you care about truth over politics and safety over optics, you're in the right place. This is Real Talk with Mohawk. Street experience, law enforcement service, military leadership.